Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I want to do is I wanted to talk about the foods we should not be putting in our body. You know what I mean? I had a few people, type down below in the comments, and a few reach out, just kind of asking some different things as far as what we should be doing to diet, better eating habits, and things that we should be indulging into. And the way to minimize all of that within the first 30 seconds to a minute is to fast. Fast. Our generation has been bombarded with thinking if we don't put something in our system that we're starving. But you have to realize that you are not this vessel. That's why the vessel stays and the spirit leaves. So when you understand that, when you get hungry and these cravings, or when you get when there's not anything going on, I don't like using the word bored, but when you don't have things going on and you tend to find yourself just kind of snacking and eating, this is a reaction from your body from how it's been programmed. So it's kind of like when you install a app onto your computer, and every time you turn on your computer, that app starts up with the computer. You don't want the app to start up, but it did. So now you have to go into the settings and adjust it. So this one has been pretty tricky, because we all want to do things to kind of take care of our body and put ourselves in a better space, physically and spiritually. And we all know that all these chips, candies, this junk food, we got a lot of sugar put into everything that we eat. So we would have to treat food like any other addiction. You have to put yourself in a spiritual rehab. You know what I mean? And a lot of people have never seen somebody die of starvation. You've seen more people die from shootings and everything else, from real life to TV shows, before you've seen somebody dying of starvation. But in this Western society, we have a lot of people, fearful of moving on to their next journey, which we all have to go. Nobody gets to stay. I don't get to stay. You don't get to stay. They don't get to stay. None of us get to stay. So understanding, before you start processing diet, you should process how to fast. Process how to fast. Replace starvation with fasting. Words are spells and spells are real. So if you are telling yourself that you're starving, then you are creating that chemical wave for your body to feel like it needs it. Most of us in the Western society have enough fats and foods and everything else stored in our body that we have an excessive amount. Most of us do, So it's not really as much as to do with metabolisms. A lot of people like to put it on metabolism. If you understand the matrix in the system, the matrix, the people who follow that structure, they only focus on the body. They don't focus on the spiritual tie or who you actually are. They just focus on the body. So when you focus on the body, then you just only seeing the vessels, kind of like when you make a robot. You don't give a fuck about the spirit in the inside. You just only focused on the vessel, doing it what you need it to do, or not doing some things. You know what I mean? So that was, I go through this a lot, and because I put myself in that space to be able to fast, and to teach myself that kind of discipline that is needed. I don't look for the system to discipline me. The creator never told me that I'm a bad person if I quote unquote jaywalk or walk across the street. So it's a lot of things that, you have to understand. 60 to 80 to 90% should be following the creator, natural law, God's laws. That other 40%, or anything less, whatever numbers I was saying just now, that is man's laws. Man laws come secondary. So when you stop trying to focus on what you're putting in your body as much and focus on healing your body, it's going to create more clarity. It's going to bring a better space for you to be able to roam around to figure out the things you need. Because what's happening is we're all mixed cultures. We're all mixed cultures. A polar bear doesn't eat what a brown bear or a black bear does. But in Western society, we got all cultures mixing and eating the same shit. And our bodies aren't cohabitant to be conducive with what we're putting in our bodies. You know what I'm saying? You don't take a black bear out to the snow and force him to start eating what they eat, because it's gonna break him down faster if he don't adapt and adjust. You know, so but for us, we don't take that approach that we're all mixed cultures. You know, you don't see a lot of Japanese people in a lot of Americanized restaurants. They usually stay in, you know, the fields and the realms of the foods that their body, their culture is used to taking on, you know. So you have to take that into account first too. You know what I'm saying? Your culture, your bloodline could have naturally been from a fruit eating, farming kind of lifestyle, but now in Western society, now you are living based off of snacks and meats. Then you have other cultures who could have been, they in a desert. You're not really growing. Most of it is going to be hunting. So you have the ones who are meat eaters, and now they're switching over to more plant-based fruits and all these other things, which naturally, culturally, doesn't work with their vessels as well either. So we all look alike, but we all not the same. We all look alike, but we all not the same. So that's why it's always been a stereotype of, you know, white people don't season their food, or, you know, don't put enough season on their food, or however we want to look at it or word it. Or we could say, oh, the brown culture, they over season or over flavor their food. Whatever floats your boat, I don't really give a damn. It's just to show the differentiation in between the two cultures. You know what I mean? We all know that the brown culture got a lot of rhythm. The white culture don't really have a lot of rhythm. They can dance in their own formulas, you know. And of course, you always got that small percentage, like everywhere. It's 1% of people over there that can dance really well and, you know, move like the other culture. Blah, blah, blah. But we know for the bulk of it, we are all different culturally. So even when you look at some of the brown people, because just because you brown don't make we all the same. We know damn well we can look at Africans and see that they don't look like us Native Americans over here. And you're not going to tell me that, oh, somebody had took this one and took that one and start making them do this thing right here. The way my spirit and my culture is set up, it would be a lot more of us dead if that was the case. Physical brute force doesn't work with us. That's why they had to switch the tactics. And if you don't have that spiritual insight, or it's not naturally in you, then you wouldn't understand or grasp that concept. But I wouldn't focus so much on dieting, you know. I would put more emphasis on fasting. And then once you make it through that fasting trial, you know, you could say, all right, well, I'm going to fast from sun up to sundown, the usual. But maybe you only make it for like 7 days. You have to make it something where it's going to be helpful to you and beneficial. Don't just say, oh, I'm gonna fast for 1 day and then that's it, or fast for 2 days and that's it. If you do fast for 2 days and you trying to figure out a way to break it down and slow it down, fast for 2 days, take 3 days, 2-3 days to kind of do whatever it is you feel like you need to do in the process, and make sure you come back the next 2-3 days and you continue again. You know, and even if you miss a day or fuck up on a day, it's all right. That doesn't exclude everything that you had going. You got to keep pushing forward and taking steps. You got to remember that you've been programmed a different way, and you're fighting against that with all these other obstacles and things that we still have out here in the process. So for me, I went through the process of taking meats out, you know, and eating solely items that was like not meats. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not one of them people that say, oh, I won't eat eggs because they come from a chicken. I don't give a fuck about all that. These are the people who got money to be really weird. Like, most people that's even trying to diet and budget don't have money to be that goddamn weird. You know what I mean? Like, the price of $1 has went through the roof. So you're not really going to concern yourself with that. If anything, I would concern myself with fasting. I need to detox a lot of these chemicals out. I need to get a lot of this junk and trash out. Once you get it out, you still have to allow your immune system to build up its warriors, so that way it can fight and manage the rest of that witchy stuff, because even if you try to switch over, say you say, all right, well, I don't want to fast, I just want to eat different foods. Which is kind of like a crackhead saying, hey, I don't want to hit the pipe, I want to shoot it up. It's the same thing. So it's like you have to make sense of it. So for me, the best thing for me when I had tried to removing the meats out the way I did, I removed the meats out for like almost 6 months. For me, it was easy because I would just eat sides, or I would eat my regular meals. I just wouldn't put the meat with it. So that was an easier process for me. But I realized, like, and even thinking about my history, it's like, that shit never slowed me down. Like, the way my spirit and my team is set up, and the way I believe in myself, and I don't talk and speak sickness onto my body, it's like, that only works for the people who believe in them spells, you know. So you have to be a firm believer in the Creator. You have to walk that way of life. For me, I make sure I test the waters and boundaries all the time to make sure I'm riding with the right team. You know what I'm saying? I had to put myself in a lot of situations and to experience a lot of life to understand, you know, what it is I'm going through. I wouldn't be in this space to feel this comfortable in front of the camera, whether people watching or not, to be able to just put me out there. You know what I mean? So, like, I am a firm believer in fasting. Don't call it starving. You don't know anybody that's died from not eating. Not in the Western society. If anything, we know more people who've died from overeating. I know somebody when I first moved to Virginia, and we was living in a small ass town called Cumberland. It was right on the outskirts of Richmond, which is the capital, but it was small. It was a teeny tiny town, like small-ish shit. And one of the dudes who I went to school with, his sister ended up passing away after they went and got some fast food from KFC. They went and got the KFC food. They ate it. The story was that, you know, she laid down across her mom's lap on the couch or whatever, just said she was a little tired, she wasn't feeling that good, and she never woke up from that. She went to sleep and she never came back. You know what I mean? And the brother, he had took some time away from school, you know, he was it threw him off, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was repeating 5th grade, so we were still pretty young to have all that happen in transition, and then to lose a sibling based off of what they are putting in their body, you know what I'm saying, when they could have been focused on not putting it. So even when I do put stuff in my body that's bullshit, I still tell myself, I make sure whatever nutrients is in the garbage that I do, I make sure I tell myself, I just need to pull this out. You know what I'm saying? My body is going to dispose of the rest of the gunk, you know what I'm saying, and junk that's in there. You just have to make sure you are speaking healness, health, and wealth into yourself. You got to speak it into yourself. You know what I mean? And when you get to a point and where you see people passing out and moving on to their next journey because they quote unquote starving or not eating, like, then that's when you be concerned about it. But right now, I think we have enough addicts on food. You know, the system knew that we have to intake consistently. It's kind of like waking up, you know, hygienic stuff. These are all things that they knew that we do naturally, and that's something that we kind of do on a daily process. You can go a couple days or something without hygiene, but you're still going to get back to it. You know what I'm saying? You could try to go a couple days without food, but you're going to get right back to it. So when you're not taught these things and these tricks on how to discipline yourself, you better learn through trial and error, and you gonna have to put the footwork in, because there's a lot of motherfuckers eating. You know what I'm saying? They eating everything. So just depending on where you at and how disciplined you are and how involved you are with food. You know what I mean? But it's no getting around the trash and the junk, especially if you're in a Western society. Even if you growing your own stuff, a lot of these stores is not even selling the natural seeds that we need. You know, they selling them shits that they made in the lab. So that way you only getting one use out of it, and then they're not even producing any more seeds. So just understanding this whole concept. That's why I always emphasize fasting. fasting is how you gonna detox. That's the fastest way to build your vessel and your immune system back up to par and up to where it needs to be at. You know what I'm saying? So the longer you wait, you know, the more it's gonna affect you and the harder it's gonna be to get away from it. So, but I ain't want to run up too long. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to drop something down because I did have a couple people mention, you know, just things about what we should do as far as dieting and food and different things that we should be indulging into. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother, that on my father's side, that moved on to her next journey, she moved on years ago, way before my nana did. But my grandmother over here that moved on first, she always ate the best foods. She ate healthy as I don't know what. She ate so healthy that I didn't even like going over to her house because she ate all the stuff that didn't have sugar. So for me, in my world when I was young, I kept thinking, damn, did my grandmother gonna outlive my other nana? You know, my other nana was big on the soul food, cooking the Thanksgivings and all the stuff they say we're not supposed to. The biggest difference I realized, though, wasn't the foods, it was the spirit. My grandmother on my father's side, she used to torture my dad, you know what I'm saying, her other children that she had. I mean, like, tying them up with phone cables, putting them in the closet, whipping them, all kind of shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, she did some torturous shit. My nana, she had a big spirit, you know, she had been in her space, you know, so it's always been great energy with her. It didn't matter if we had chitlins and yams and grains and all this shit. Her spirit was huge. Her spirit was so huge it outshined all the toxicity that we were putting into our bodies. You know what I mean? So if you spiritual before you physical, then you should understand that it starts in here first. You know what I mean? So that was huge enough and close enough home to me for me to self-reflect and to use them, my grands, as an example. You know, one always ate healthy. She was bike riding, jogging, running, doing all that stuff. She was slim, but she went first, you know? But her spirit was also a lot hardened than my grandmother, my nana. Not saying that my nana didn't go through shit, but she just held, you know what it is when you rhyme with God and the Creator. Plus that my nana lived in the church, so that kind of kept her connection with the Creator strong. I'm not saying the church, I'm just meaning as far as like her one-on-one connection with Source, you know what I mean? And my other grandmother wasn't. She was just trying to live as healthy as she could, you know what I mean? And wasn't really concerned with the connection with Source, you know? So for me, fasting, you know what I mean? Do what you can to remove these toxins out your body. Don't be thinking about how can you diet first. Process fasting. Once you make it through that chapter, then you process dieting. Process fasting, then dieting. When you learn baseball, they have to teach you how to catch and hit. They're not teaching you how to run bases first, because if you're not going to make it to no bases if you don't know how to hit the ball, if you don't know how to catch the ball. You know what I'm saying? Basketball, you don't get to shoot the ball if you don't know how to dribble a little bit. You got to learn the basics, you know what I'm saying? So it's certain things that you do have to know and learn in order to kind of take the right precaution steps to get to the right space. You know what I'm saying? There is a right and a wrong way. I seen somebody put that down. Ain't no right and wrong. That's demonic. There is a right and wrong. That's why the universe is flowing beautifully outside of the matrix the way it does. You know what I'm saying? Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.